Okay. Hello, this is Jeff Moore with Thursday Night Boardroom, and you are here with Ben Simkin at Before the Boardroom. So we see Mike Hurst behind us over there, and then we see Brandy Sweezy that you can see in the reflection of that mirror there somewhere. She's in the background, and as people are coming in here, I just thought that this is a good time to get people to, that aren't in the area. Oh, that's going to drive me nuts.
So yeah, mute here, but you can watch it here.
Ben Simkin at Before the Boardroom.
There you go.
There we go. Holy mackerel, that was going to suck on that one. But anyway, so Before the Boardroom, we have some time to spend to hook up with the folks that are not in the area, and also meet with extraordinary people from around the world, because the boardroom, as of this posting, is 456 people from 24 different countries. So we're really honored, and real honored tonight to have a gentleman on here that I have a great deal of respect for by the name of Ben Simkin. Welcome, Ben.
Hi, Jeff. It's exciting to be on this podcast, on this hangout.
Yeah, we're kind of learning some things tonight, aren't we?
Yeah.
So, I'm going to figure out a way to do this so next time I don't wear the flight headset here, like I'm, landing the Enola Gay or something like that. But I met Ben. Gosh, what was it? A year ago? A little over a year ago.
January. Yeah.
At Jay Abraham's, he had a high-end mastermind event in Redondo Beach, and Aaron Fletcher at this table, at this lunch table. I showed up at the last day for the last little bit of it. I couldn't make it to the first 2 days. I wasn't around, but Jay had asked me to come, and I obviously any opportunity I get to hang with Jay Abraham. For sure. But we went out to lunch. I saw Aaron there. I knew Aaron. Aaron and I are friends. And there was a gentleman by the name of Rick Barker that was, full of energy and talking 1,000 miles an hour. And there was Aaron, who's always been funny and kind of a dry sense of humor. And there was this other guy that wasn't saying a word almost the whole time at lunch. And it was not too long before I figured out that this guy was the smartest guy in the room. And Ben Simkin is from Australia, in the Gold Coast of Australia. He's known as the $900 million man, which, from what I understand, is a conservative estimate anymore. That I think that we've eclipsed that billion-dollar mark, but for some reason Ben's holding on to the $9 million. But Ben is a superstar marketer, business optimization specialist, and one of the top probably 4 or 5 experts in the world when it comes to Facebook advertising, paid advertising, optimizing your advertising, and driving massive amounts of traffic, and more importantly, profitable business in the door for you using that social media. So Ben, I hope I did you justice by explaining, but why don't you give us a little bit more background on you?
Thank you for that intro. Yeah, well, I didn't always start out knowing about marketing, and really, when I first started out, I started out when I was 20 years old in my first business. I had no idea how to do marketing, how to get clients, how to run a business, and it was a real struggle for a long time, until I really realized that I needed to learn how to do marketing. And it wasn't until I really embraced those methods and really adopt mentors such as Jay Abraham, as you mentioned, that I was able to really get anywhere. And I was struggling for many years in my business, not making much money at all. But then when I embraced that and realized I needed to learn as much about marketing as possible, that's when things really turned around. And I was able to turn that business into a really successful business. I actually sold that company when I was 27, and I launched this new venture with just $1,500. I just took $1,500 to start my new venture, and today's a $1 million company. And so it's been a wild journey over the last 9 years.
Wow, wow. Now, you were in the IT side of the business, and I love that you kind of just talk about that very quickly. But as a very young age, you had some pretty important clients with your IT business too, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I did. I mean, I was working for some pretty large companies like ABN AMRO Morgans and some other big investment banks and things like that as well. I was running around doing that. I mean, even earlier before that, when I started doing computer programming when I was 13, so I was writing software when I was still in school. And really that's where that kind of passion for that started. But thinking, you know, I'm really smart at computers, thinking, oh, I'm going to go out on my own and start my own business was really a wake-up call because I knew how to do computers. I had no idea how to run a business or do marketing. So it was a big jump in the deep end without knowing how to swim.
Got it, got it. So we fast forward, and you sold your company at 27 to do what? To get into marketing and working with other businesses, and what was the motivation to do that, to sell your business and then move on to something else?
Yeah, well, in the meantime, I had another client. It was actually a client of mine in the IT business, and he came to me and he said, I want to do this internet marketing stuff. You know, I've heard it's really good. I want to know more about it. Can you help me? So I was like, being a young, you know, ambitious person, really, I just said, yeah, sure. And then I figured it out afterwards. So we, I remember it very clearly, but it was back in 2005, and he wanted me to grow his business using online marketing. I didn't know what a landing page was. I didn't know what copywriting was. I had no idea about anything about marketing at all in the online world. And so we figured out that we could rent this list of people. And then we got his newspaper ad that he was running since 1980. All I did was basically scan it into the computer and email it to this list of 10,000 people. And just by doing that, we were able to make $3 million for him. And I realized that this online marketing stuff must be pretty good.
Really, this really works. Good Lord. I mean, you had to have some kind of confidence that you'd been a programmer since you were 13 years old, so you probably figured, hey, if it's got to do with computers and software or anything that's driving a computer, you already went into it with a deal of I would think, confidence, didn't you?
I think it was really my nature. I would have people come to me and have these wacky requests. I remember I was one of the first people in the country to set up a satellite internet service, and I had to go out on this farm that was 5 hours out of the city. There was no software for it. I had to program the software and hook it all up, and I had no idea what I was doing. But it's just one of those things where I was like, when I was young, I was like, yep, I'll do that. I'll figure it out. Just give me the job, and I'll figure it out. And that was really the approach that I took when I was, you know, in my early 20s, was just give it to me and we'll figure it out. And that, I guess that was a really, you know, a good thing for me at that time, to really, you know, expand my opportunities. But obviously since then we've been doing a lot more formally focusing on how do we increase our online marketing skills, and over the last 9 years, like, we've been able to go leaps and bounds with what we've been doing.
That's fantastic. So how long have you been working in the Facebook, you know, with the Facebook tool?
Yeah, well, we started doing the email marketing back in 2005, and like our very first client, in the first 3 months, we made about $3 million, like I said. And then we were like, I was embracing that. I was doing that for every company that I could find, and we were generating so much money for our clients just by sending out emails to people. And then when Facebook came along in 2007, there wasn't many people on it, actually. But I realized quickly that was, you know, essentially it's the same principle where marketing is really just getting the right offer in front of the right people. And with Facebook, that's exactly what it is. So if we knew that we could get the right offer, and then we knew who the right people were, we could target those people, then Facebook was going to be so much better than any email marketing could ever be. And we jumped on it right away. And when we jumped on it, there was no one doing courses or doing masterminds or teaching you how to do it. We really had to figure it all out ourselves. And obviously made mistakes along the way, learnt the best practices and those kinds of things. So we've always been the people. We've never been able to look to other people to learn it. We've always had to figure it out ourselves because we've always been that step ahead. And I think that's really forced us to really invest our own money to do testing and development and things like that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, right offer to the right people at the right time, right? Right?
Yeah, 101.
So, $900 million. Has $900 million been all through internet marketing, or has it been optimization of processes and business practices? I mean, what do you attribute the $900 million to as far as increasing? And we're talking about increases in sales, correct?
Exactly, sales. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That is a big, broad question. I think I need to explain how when we go into a company, we have a company come to us and say, we want to generate more sales. And we go, well, let's back up a minute. Let's have a look at what's really happening in the company.
Right.
And we will look at the things like the offer, the product, how they're actually delivering the product, what is the business model, what is the retention, all of these different strategies, even the sales process we will look at and optimize all of that before we go ahead and generate 1,000 leads for them. Because you can generate a lot of leads, but if the company's not set up for it, it's going to fall over. And we have seen that happen. And we've had companies say, yep, we're all geared up. We can make another $3 million this year. We have the resources. And we'll generate all these sales for them. And then they'll go, oh, hang on a minute, you've got to stop. We've just generated $300,000 in sales, but we can't handle any more because we don't have the setup. And so
Right.
we have to go into the company to make sure it's set up for enormous growth. I mean, we've taken a company from $0 to $10 million in 12 months. And you don't do that just by throwing leads at people. So you've got to really be strategic about what you're doing.
What is when you take somebody from $0 to $10 million in a year? That's an enormous leap. I mean, a great over 80% of businesses fail in the first year, and you're talking about somebody that's going from 0 to $10 million. I mean, they're saying that, what is it, 94% of all businesses that start don't even reach the $1 million mark. And so that's an enormous, like, world class effort to go from 0 to 10 million. I mean, can you give us an example of what that kind of service is, or is it a product? I mean, what are we looking at here when you're taking somebody to that level?
That particular product is they sell investments, so they'll get people into like financial advisors and things like that. So that particular company was that, and they'd actually, when they came to us, they actually had no money in the bank because they had tried all this marketing, telemarketing. They'd lost in the previous year. They had lost $500,000, so they were actually going backwards, and they had $0 in the bank. The 12 directors met with me one day, and I said, "This is what we can do. This is how much it's going to cost." And they said, "Well, we're going to have to redraw that out of our own homes, out of our mortgages, to pay you for that." And that was really them jumping out of the boat, because if I hadn't have delivered, then that would have been it for them. But I knew, I was 100% confident that we could turn them around, and so we were able to do that for them. We had to look at obviously things like the sales process, the offer, the product, how they were delivering it, all the marketing obviously as well. So looking at all the different angles, but then obviously Facebook is a really big part of it as well, because we can generate. I mean, we generate 200 leads for them a month consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the second step. So getting on Facebook, generating the massive amounts of results you can get for the client, and making sure that they can handle that as well.
Do you have an example of a client that you've worked for that sold products that you've had that kind of trajectory? Something where they're manufacturing products and selling those. Have you ever had that kind of steep trajectory with a company like that?
Just thinking of one of an example. I mean, I think the only real thing that we've looked at, things like we sold a ton of recipe books for a company who published, printed, and sold recipe books. I mean, to give you an example of that kind of thing, we just, like in our own company, we just sold $225,000 worth of digital products. So $225,000 worth of digital products in the last 17 days, just
Oh
through
my
Facebook
goodness.
marketing, just through Facebook marketing. And so, I mean, it doesn't really matter as long as the product is good, and we can reframe that, repackage the product, as long as there's demand for that as well. I mean, the kind of trajectory that you can get through Facebook marketing is enormous. Is absolutely almost unlimited.
Digital products are a lot easier to scale, though, aren't they?
I think so. I mean, it really comes down to, obviously, number one, making sure the company can handle the sales, because if we can. I've always had this in the last 9 years, this amazing ability to be able to generate as many customers as customers can handle, and so that's obviously half the problem. The other half is actually making sure that they can handle that, and that's where we come in as well, and make sure that that can happen.
Right, right. Trust me, you're hitting home on me right now because we're having a slowdown at the LA port. Actually, the entire West, the Longshoremen's Union out here in the United States, they're slowing their work down to show their importance towards our own economy. And I've outsold my ability to provide to our company to the tune of probably $5 million in the last 3 months. So it's gut wrenching when you've sold it and you can't get it, out
Yeah.
there. So I understand. I mean, people, like we're going to talk tonight at the boardroom. We're going to say, hey, look, what has to happen for you to for 2015 to be better than the last 10 years combined? But the very first thing you need to be able to do is look at, hey, what does my company look like, twice as big or 5 times as big, and how does it operate? Because when people go, oh, I want to double my sales or I want to triple my sales, it's like, okay, so what does that look like? Everybody going to work 3 times as hard? I mean, that doesn't happen, and so it's interesting when people have these types of steep trajectories. I'm really interested in it, but more importantly, you've got something coming up in 2015. And it is a Facebook advertising, or is it just a Facebook marketing mastermind group? And why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I've called it a Facebook mastermind for want of a better term, but it really is an all-encompassing program where in the next 12 months we're going to take companies from where they are now to where they want to be. So we are looking at things like strategy, business model, what they're offering to the marketplace, how they're doing it, but then also we dig into all the high-level strategies we've used to generate millions of dollars in sales through Facebook. So we're looking at marketing funnels, Facebook advertising, advanced strategies, being able to generate. I mean, I got an email from a guy yesterday saying, I want to generate 1,000 leads in the next 3 weeks. And so if you want to grow your company, big, you need to be able to do those kinds of numbers. And so we're showing people how do you get to that mark. I mean, to give you an idea, we did a mastermind similar to this 2 years ago, and the people in it, I mean, one guy told me he made $700,000 in profit just from following what I told him to do. Another girl in Sydney, she made $300,000 in profit. And so it's more than just it's not how do you get the cheapest Facebook clicks. It's about how do you transform the business, how do you grow that business on high volume, to be able to generate $200,000 in profit in 17 days like we just did. I mean, that's the kind of thing that you need to know how to do, because if you look at a business in its traditional form, the business growth is outside of the control of the business owner. They have no control over how fast they grow, how many clients they're going to generate in the next 2 months. There's no control. They have to rely on word of mouth, referrals, the luck of the draw. What I'm teaching people is how to take control of your business growth. You can say, I want to generate 20 clients in the next 2 months, and you be able to hit those goals, exceed them, and be able to do that on a controlled basis. Facebook marketing allows you to do that. So it's really quite a powerful program you're running, and it's covering all of the things that you need to know. So we're not just going in there and saying, here's how you get cheap clicks. here's how to put an ad up. It's really a business growth mastermind, and we use Facebook as the platform to really grow the company.
I like that. I like that a lot because it really is. I mean, hey, I need 1,000 leads in the next 3 weeks. It's like, great, we can do that. What are you going to do with those leads? I mean, what happens when they come in? I did a thing here where we were giving free seafood away, and what happened after we gave the first free seafood away? Where's the follow-up funnel? How quickly are we engaging with these people? And so I learned a valuable lesson. I mean, we gave away $30,000 worth of free seafood and hardly followed up. So it's who's going to do this type of stuff. And I'm working with Aaron on some stuff. Aaron Fletcher, with a mutual friend of ours, and on some things, and we're not even talking about how are we going to advertise. It's literally the path of, and Brandy and I talked about this the other day, the path of the customer. Once they come through your front door, what are you doing with them? And you're our mutual mentor, Jay Abraham, at a furniture store, it was massively increasing the business and the profits of from one single method. When somebody walked in that door, the question they asked was, what ad brought you into the store? And engaging them, and it was millions of dollars that they made just by changing that one piece. But if somebody believes that the beginning and the end is just getting leads, they're sorely mistaken. And I know Aaron's been talking about that with the Fletcher method, and I love the fact that you're talking about that. And I know on your podcast that you talk about that entire business process. One of my favorite podcasts, by the way. I just absolutely, even though you haven't done anything recently, I still love listening to that. On my morning walk, I'll listen to those, and I think your partner is a brilliant guy too. On that, and I just love listening to the conversation that you're doing. So, when does this mastermind group start?
The mastermind officially kicks off in January 2015, but with intake we're starting that now, and anybody who starts right now will actually get our help one-on-one straight away. So we're already starting to help people. I mean, to look at a few of the examples that we've already helped people in the last 2 weeks with. One guy, he came in, and he was dead set. He was like, I want to do this online membership program where people pay me $10 a month and all these kinds of other ideas. And we said, well, hang on a minute. Let's look at the business. And we were able to show him how he could make $50,000 a month by doing about 5 to 10 hours a month in work. And so he threw out that entire business model that he was dead set on, and we showed him a much more optimized business model. Another guy was able to triple his conversion rates on Facebook just by changing one thing. Just one little thing was changed, and he was able to triple his results. I mean, like you mentioned, it's always those leverage points that really make the difference. Small hinges swing big doors, and so that's really what a lot of it is about. Is we look at your business model or your marketing strategy or your landing page, and we'll say, well, you should really just tweak that one thing. And then we'll see an enormous difference. So double, triple conversion rates, triple the profits, things like that.
That's great, and I love the fact that you're approaching it that way, because then once you're comfortable, once you can see, because you've got so much experience that you're able to recognize when somebody's ready to explode, when somebody's ready to take all of the juice, all the nuclear power that you're going to give them through Facebook and other types of marketing and take off. But I like the fact that you're reticent about giving people these magic keys, the magic beans, if you will, to grow the beanstalk, if they don't have the roots to help this thing really grow and stay strong and enduring. I mean, it's like they talk about the Oprah effect, but there's two definitions of the Oprah effect. There's the Oprah effect where, hey, an author gets up there and explodes, and then there's somebody else that's like, hey, we sell this widget or something that Oprah really liked, and she talked about it on her show, and all of a sudden we grew ourselves out of business, because they exceeded their own resources, their own capability to serve their client or their customer, And I think that, you know, in a way, I think using Facebook, because that is a tool that's generated such massive leverage for you. But I love the fact that we're able to talk about this right now, that it's not just Facebook. Facebook is a platform that we use, but what we're going to look at is we're going to take a view and take a peek at your business and make sure that your business is even ready for this. You know, let's make sure all the wheels on this car are nice and, you know, they're nice and snug, they're ready to go. This engine's not going to explode when we press the nitrous button. I really appreciate that type of look. So, we still have a lot of time, and there's some things I want to talk about. But if somebody right now is like really impatient as they're watching this, and they say, you know what, I want to do that, do they just go to businessnet.com.au, or where would they go to find more out about this?
Yeah, definitely go onto the website businessnet.com.au. Look me up on Facebook. Obviously, I'm on Facebook, Ben Simkin. You can look me up on Facebook and connect with me there as well. So definitely either of those two platforms will be fine. So
Okay.
yeah, definitely jump on there if you want to find out more.
Ben, let me ask you some almost some personal questions. You're an IT guy, a programmer, a software writer. Do you find yourself being more structured in the way you do your business, or do you find yourself being more eclectic and moving more with the feeling of where something takes you?
I think it's a bit of a split. I'm very focused. In my early days, when I was in my early 20s, I would have people come to me and tell me, I need help with this project. It would be something that I've never done before, something so out of the ordinary that I would just take it. And I was really stretched out into 17 different directions in my early 20s. And then I realized that I really needed to focus on one thing at a time. And that was really what I had to keep really, consciously drawing myself back from opportunities that were presented to me. And now it's really just, you get into a thing where it just becomes an automatic thing where you just become laser focused with what you're doing. You do one thing, you do it extremely well, and the results that you get are tremendous just by doing that. If you can focus in on one thing and really do that exceptionally well and really scale it up. If talking to people, business owners all the time, they'll say, yeah, we do this and then we do that and we also offer this service as well. And I've thought about starting up this kind of company too. We look at it and we go, well, there's people in your industry that are making millions of dollars from just doing one of those things you mentioned, just one of those products. One of those services. Someone's making millions of dollars from just selling one specific product. And so if you're struggling to get past $200,000 or $300,000 and you're doing 5 things, you should really cut that down and say, well, where's my highest and best use? And really scale that one up instead, because there's people out there who are doing it, and you can do that as well.
That's fantastic. I want to come back to some things with you, because I know that you were out here in the United States for what was going to be a short trip, and then you guys ended up staying here. What was it, 10 weeks?
10 weeks, yeah.
So we're going to talk about that in a second, but I've got I got a question here from Upfluent. Ben, how would you structure a business that is based upon one-on-one appointments?
Okay, very interesting. How would I structure a business that's based on one-on-one appointments? Now, assuming there's no other information, I'm going to have to make some assumptions.
Hold on, hold on. Let's see what we got here. I'm writing a book for estate planning attorneys. Any thoughts on doing Facebook marketing to get them one-on-one client consultations?
Okay, great. Writing a book. Target market. Do we have it? Do we have that?
It's for estate. It's estate planning attorneys is the target market, and he wants to do Facebook marketing to get them one-on-one client consultation. So he's helping them using Facebook marketing, getting one-on-one client consultations.
Okay, and he wants to get them as clients. So
yes.
His target market is the attorneys.
Right.
So a few things come to mind. When we're talking about the face-to-face appointments, and I was thinking about this when I woke up this morning, if you can free yourself from all constraints that is when you can grow your wealth tremendously. If you have a constraint, whether it be your time, whether it be your resources, your staff, financial, if you can free yourself from constraints, and there's ways to do that, as you know, being Jay protege, there's ways to leverage that. But look at things like, one of the critical things that changed my life was when I de-indexed my earnings from the hours I put in. So essentially, instead of earning money by the hour, I was able to earn money by the value that I provided to my clients. So I no longer had to do hour for hour, so dollar for hour. I was able to grow my income without having to be there. You know, like you mentioned, I was away for 10 weeks this year, and we generated so much money while I was away. The business did not rely on me. And so that was one of the constraints that you had to break out of. When it comes to one-on-one appointments, you've got to be really careful and selective who you spend time with. I'm just going to grab some water.
Okay.
One of the really important things is for you to filter out who you have appointments with. So who you spend on the phone with, who you go and see. And so when you're doing marketing, you've got to do pre-qualification. If your target audience fits a certain criteria, anything outside of that, you don't even talk to on the phone. And so you can really leverage up your time. Number one. Now, when it comes to Facebook marketing for the targeting the attorneys, what you really have to do is think about your attorney and think about the problems he faces, the fears and frustrations that he has, and the goals that he wants to achieve, and really write those things down and create a marketing offer around that. Now, it could be like a free report, a video training program, something like that, but it's got to be about how you can remove him away from his frustrations and bring him closer to his goal. And so if you can give
Which is
him,
the same whether we're talking about this attorney, or maybe this question's even asked where the attorneys are looking for new clients to get on the phone with. The exact same answer, right?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And it's really, Facebook is really good if you can help them start to solve or begin to solve their problem before you even talk to them. You know, imagine you had a jigsaw puzzle that they had to put together, and you could help them with the first 3 pieces to get them started. Now, their desire to want to finish that jigsaw to see what the picture is increases as they go. As they put each piece of the puzzle down, their desire to finish that increases tremendously. And so if you can help your prospect, just put a few of those, resolve a few of those pain points, or bring them closer to achieving their goal, or moving them away from their fear or frustration, their desire to complete that increases tremendously. And so what then happens is they want to do business with you because they want to finish that process. Mm-hmm. And so when you get on Facebook, you can really start that process with them using content marketing, using ebooks and reports, using video training, and starting that journey with them.
That's great, and I love that. Just identifying with what the client, the pain points for sure. But I think are you seeing a shift as we start to see millennials become more of the economy, the global economy, that they are a lot of times looking for specialized service with minimal human interaction, you know, i.e. the Uber app or something like that, to be able to, they just want the answer. They don't want to see products anymore. They don't want to read a bunch of stuff. They just want somebody to tell them what to do next. Are you finding that?
Exactly, yeah. It's definitely is that. I mean, you're definitely always going to have different types of personalities. There's people who want to pull the radio apart and find out how it works. There's people who just want to get the radio and listen to it. So there's definitely different kinds of people. But I think as the society continues, we want things on demand, on our terms.
Yep.
And you can see that happening in the television world as well. We no longer have to wait till Wednesday night to watch a TV show. Now we can download the entire series
Yep.
of House of Cards in one day,
Yep.
and watch the whole thing, and eat sit on the couch, eat Doritos for like 12 hours, and watch the show.
Sweet.
And so
Yeah,
things like Uber fulfills that role as well. And it's interesting because I was reading a really interesting article recently about how that really works. And part of the factor of new society is that you hear a lot of these things like, oh, faith in society has decreased and things like that. Well, it's quite the opposite. I think faith is really one of those things that's really increasing and going through the roof, because if you think about it, you've got to have faith that things like the iCloud work and work for you, that it's secure, that it's safe, that it's going to look after your data. You have no idea how it works, but you have this sense of automatic faith in that technology. And so I think society, even the young people especially, have an innate faith in things that are happening, and so you don't have to explain to them how things work, as long as you have as long as you can prove that it works and you can start to help them solve that problem right
Yep.
away, then they're going to go on that journey with you.
I love the fact, and you know what? I actually heard this on your podcast from your partner, that your co-host saying we only truly learn the next step. We learn in steps, and we don't learn 5 steps down the road. We learn the next step, and then once we take that next step, we learn the step after that. I think it's a Buddhist. There's a Buddhist saying that says, our life is like a grand staircase, but the only step that's lit is the next one. And I think that I think we're seeing a lot of that, where hey, just here's what I got to do, and here's what it is. But I think there's some things that I want to discuss with you, and some methodology and strategy that you use, is that once you've been able to dial in your target client, your target customer, and their pain points, you don't necessarily have to go directly at that particular pain point. You can kind of surround them to give them that air of credibility, or like you were talking about, that faith, to really understand, hey, I get you, without saying that, but I get you, and I get you probably better than you get yourself. And then you're able to help them identify with certain things, and so truly the transaction becomes that next step. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. I think the transaction has to start very early in the process. Getting your prospect to read a blog article on how to solve shoulder pain, or how to lose weight, or how to grow your business, is really the first transaction. Is clicking on that blog ad on Facebook is really the first step. And if you can continue that journey and give them each step, like you said, the grand staircase, and light up the next step when they're ready for it, then before you know it, they're up the top of the staircase, or down it.
Right.
And they're with you, transacting, giving you money, because that's the next natural step that's going to happen. Is the transaction will be the currency that they give you.
Right. I love that. A compelling reason to proceed. Right.
Yeah.
Just to keep going, and that's fantastic. When you go to work with somebody like the investment guys that went from 0 to 10 million, or you sold, you profited $200,000 over the last several weeks, do you surprise yourself, or do you go, or was that like, oh yeah, that was expected, or are you like, this shit really works? Wow.
I think that's a good question, and I'm extremely cautious when a client comes to me and says they want to generate $5 million or $10 million.
Right.
I first of all question whether or not it's possible, from a point of view of, is the product right? Is there demand? Is the company right? Are they going to be able to fulfill that? And I really, really have to concentrate or consider over the course of maybe 3 days, and really make sure that I'm comfortable to do that. Because if I even have the littlest doubt whether or not I can achieve the result, I'll actually turn them away. Now, I might be a little bit overcautious, but when I do bring on a client, I'm 100% confident that I can achieve the goal for them. I have no doubt about it. But there is a point where, when I'm on the phone to them initially, I might be doubtful about whether it can happen. Then I have to go through and find out more about them, and have a think about whether or not I can actually achieve the goal.
Right.
So, but when I say yes, let's go ahead, let's do something, then that's when I have an extreme confidence that it will happen.
Okay, so somebody comes in and you take them from 0 to 10 million. What is your retention rate for your clients? I mean, do you reach a point like I've done this, or is that those people that the investment guys that you help grow like massively? Are they just an ongoing client now at this point? I mean, they're always coming to you for stuff, or do they move on?
Yeah, every client that we've had, bar a couple, over the last 9 years is with us. Even our very first client from '05 is with us today. We consistently deliver the results for them, and
Okay,
so we decided early on we're not going to do contracts for clients because we knew that as long as we made the money each month that they would come back the next month. And so we were able to do that, and we like to use that as our benchmark. We don't want to have to rely on terms of a clause to sit back and not worry about the client. We want to be at the forefront, trying new things, upping the ante, pushing the envelope to make sure we can keep doing that. And I think that's really served us.
I think, and here's kind of a more complicated question. I think all of your business that you do is purely performance based, right? Now, I mean, you get a retainer now because of where you are in your career and what you've done, the results you've done. But tell me how you structure your deals like that.
We structure the deal by projected growth. So our monthly retainer, for the smaller companies, we do a monthly retainer. And so it's based on the ROI of the company. So if we know we're going to make them $1 million, we'll calculate a percentage of that, and that will be our monthly fee.
Okay.
When we're working with much larger companies who are doing, $50 million and things like that, we look at just doing a pure contingency basis. So they only pay us when they make a sale, when it's clear profit in the bank.
Got
And
it.
so we're able to actually, our percentage-wise is able to be increased because of the lack of risk on their part.
Got it. Got it. And and this is maybe a little, I don't know, I'm not being rude. Tell me what happens when, like, you're putting this deal together, a contingency deal. What happens when a client doesn't pay? What do you do?
Well, it hasn't happened, but
Okay.
we would talk to them. We would
Okay.
find out what the problem was.
So it's never
Maybe
happened.
no, no.
Have you ever
And
been worried about that happening?
I'll tell you why in a minute.
Okay.
we would Our relationship with our clients is more like a partnership. We feel like we're more custodians than anything else. And so if they're not able to pay for some reason, we've got to find out why, and maybe we can be aiding in fixing that issue.
I love that answer. I absolutely love that answer. That's so
And
cool, Ben.
so coming back to, have I ever been worried about it? When we take on a contingency client, we've got to trust that they have the capability to deliver the result.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, we have to trust them. We have to have that personal trust.
Right.
We can't rely on a contract to get payment. You simply can't. I mean, the amount of legal fees and issues and that kind of thing, if you relied on that aspect of business, it's not a great way to run your business. And secondly, if you had to go sue the company for not paying you, all of a sudden that relationship's finished anyway.
Right.
So we don't really focus on those kinds of things. We want to find people that we are ethical, that we trust, that we feel comfortable with, and that listen to our advice as well, because there's no use us helping them and then they don't implement what we tell them to do.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And for me, from my side of the business, when I've represented other companies, there's been times when we haven't been paid. And, I don't give a crap what anybody says. Hey, it's business and business is business. I put a lot of my personal self into every piece of business that I do, so it's personal. And I'm like, I've gotta not let it go. And
Yeah.
but then there's
Yeah.
the guys. Like I find myself the other day, a guy was telling me that he's sending us a check for $100,000, and honestly, it was such a huge amount that I was like, "There's no way." I'm waiting for the phone call to get a thing that says, hey, we gotta work this out or whatever. And when he's like, no, just send me the invoice. Here you go.
That's
And it was
great.
just like, I'm like, yeah, walking around Rocky in the office and all that kind of stuff. But it was, it just I get so jaded in the seafood business and in the food business.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, there's just a lot of shady deals, and you've got to be
Yeah. I bet.
very careful. And so for us, we really pride ourselves on working with larger entities, more solid and stable people, and we've got long-term relationships that we're really proud of, and they're dear friends of ours, one and all. So that's
Yeah.
fantastic. So this is going to be something. Now, tell me how, if somebody's, you're in Australia and we're over here in the States. How is this mastermind going to work? Tell me. We joined today. What happens?
What happens is we spend, first of all, we get on the phone to make sure it's the right fit. Secondly, we look at your business model and give you advice on how to improve that if we need to. We look at what kinds of goals you can achieve as well. So we're looking at all that. We're not going to put somebody into the program if we firmly don't believe that they're going to get the results. Just like we do with any other client, we want to make sure that they're going to, if they put, X amount in, they're going to get 10 times back. We want that kind of result for everybody. And so that's really the first step. Secondly, we're a global company now. We have clients and staff all over the world. We've got, staff in Australia, America, and we've got clients in America and in the UK as well as Australia, obviously. So being the company that we are, a global company, we recognize that we have to accommodate that. And so we work on different time zones and things like that. This is how we set up. We have staff that work around the clock. And so having those kinds of things set up, because there's demand globally, we recognize that we had to set all that up to make sure that we could deliver for everybody around the world.
Okay. And so let's say we've gone through the phone call. There's the focus, the fit, the feel, the financial, the future. Everything's together.
Yeah.
Is it going to then be a interactive group? I mean, how often do you meet? What happens at that point?
So we've got a number of different layers. It's a mastermind, but it's also one-on-one as well. So we can do a lot of one-on-one critiquing and helping as we go, looking at your offer, making sure it's a good offer, and making sure your business model is right, and all that kind of stuff. And obviously, looking at your Facebook ads, improving those. Like we just looked at a guy's Facebook ad. We changed one little thing on his ad. We were able to triple his results. Things like that. And so we look at that. We also have a exclusive Facebook group for the masterminds, so we can bounce ideas off each other, share our wins, and all that kind of stuff. We have group calls, constantly group calls, Q&As, as well as one-on-one, and it's a mix of all the different types of interactions that you can get in the one group. We also have a technical support team at disposal as well. So it's an all-encompassing business growth program.
Yeah, I mean, you use the term partner, and I think partner gets overused big time, but you're really becoming somebody's business partner. Anybody that joins this group is joining an exclusive group, and you become their business partner, a business acceleration partner, if you will. And I think it's an extraordinary opportunity. And I guess when they call you, will you figure out costs or price, or can you tell people what that is to expect right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's an invite-only program, so just jump on there. Even if you have a few questions about the program, we don't do a sales call as such. When people call us, we actually start helping them solve their business problems on that call. And we're looking at that same principle. If we can start solving problems and help you achieve goals on that call, then we can look at is this next step, is the mastermind program the right thing for you or not? If not, then we won't even offer it to you, and we'll tell you other things that you could do. If it is, then we'll tell you the investment, the terms, all those kinds of things that we need
Correct.
to go through.
Fantastic. So let's talk about your 10 weeks in the States. Your wife is wonderful, by the way. I think she's
Yeah.
great.
She is. She's definitely the thing that's definitely accelerated my success in life.
I think we're in the same boat there. Yeah, we went out to dinner, had a good time. Our wives did all the talking. We just looked at each other.
We just picked up the bill.
That was it. Exactly. So 10 weeks here. I mean, you said you grew your business. What was your favorite part of the United States when you were here during that trip?
We love LA, and we keep coming back to it. I mean, I came to the US about 6 times this year alone, and so including that 10-week trip as well. So definitely, we can't stay away from LA. We love it there. New York's always an amazing place as well. Washington's great. We just love all the places we've been to. We've loved. So definitely, it feels like our second home
That's great.
in America.
So you're in a new place right now, huh? A new house, a new home?
Yeah, we just bought a new house 2 weeks ago. Moved in there and got our internet connected, so got all the good things happening.
So what is the view behind you here?
I don't know if you can see it, but there's the ocean there behind us. It's probably a bit too glary today.
Yeah.
But we've got the ocean just behind us, the bay, which is a good thing to wake up to every morning.
Nice, nice. Well, Ben, you know what? We got the boardroom that starts in 8 minutes.
Great.
I really appreciate what the time that you've given us here, and that is businessnet.com.au, and that's where they can connect with you, or on Facebook at Ben Simkin or Benjamin Simkin on Facebook, and those that are in the boardroom, obviously, can connect with Ben there. And I highly recommend Ben to anybody that feels that this is that fit, unquestionable. And I appreciate the time. Also, for those of you that are wondering, hey, this looks like a pretty cool hangout, Brandy Sweezy, that's here with us tonight, really helped me out with that. And she has a site called hangoutsforbusiness.com and or brandysweezy.com, but don't go to brandysweezy.com because you won't spell the name right. But hangoutsforbusiness.com. And Ben, I just really appreciate the time. Say hello to your lovely wife, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Thanks a lot, Jeff. It's been
Take
great.
care, pal. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.